Dwane Casey was named NBA Coach of the Year, led the Raptors to 59 wins, the best in franchise history. 2 days later, fired after building Toronto into a powerhouse. But Casey's not alone. This is an epidemic. Marty Schottenheimer, 14-2, fired. Mark Jackson built a dynasty's foundation, never saw the trophy. Phil Jackson, 6 rings, still pushed out. Here's the brutal truth. In pro sports, success should save you. But sometimes, the better you do, the faster you're replaced. This is Bench Bosses, and today we expose coaching's dirtiest secret. Dwane Casey was a respected veteran, built a culture, developed talent, turned the Raptors from a lottery team into a 59-win machine, the best season in franchise history. They finished first in the East. The league rewarded him NBA Coach of the Year. The Raptors rewarded him fired before he even received the award. Why? Masai of LeBron's was done with good enough. Back-to-back playoff exits at the sweeps, no less, painted a hard ceiling. Casey's structure, while steady, wasn't getting them over the hump. Ujiri didn't look outside. He promoted from within, Nick Nurse. Innovative, bold, unproven, but fearless. 1 year later, NBA champions. Publicly, Casey was labeled a playoff failure. But here's the truth. He got canned not for losing, but for winning the wrong way. His success exposed a misalignment. He built something good. The front office wanted something great, on their terms. Casey didn't fail. He just wasn't their guy for the next step. And in the NBA, that's all it takes to get replaced. Now to the NFL, and a coach who did everything right. Marty Schottenheimer. Marty Ball meant old-school toughness, run fast, disciplined, over-prepared. One of the most respected leaders in football. In 2006, his Chargers went 14-2. LaDainian Tomlinson won MVP. The roster was loaded. This was a Super Bowl team. Then fired. Days after a playoff loss. Not because of losing, not because of scandal, because of one thing: power. Schottenheimer clashed constantly with his GM, A.J. Smith. They disagreed on staff, personnel, philosophy, everything. Smith wanted control, Marty had legacy, neither blinked. Owner Dean Spanos was forced to choose. And when Marty's assistants were poached and contract demands rose, Spanos didn't hesitate. The playoffs loss, convenient cover. The real reason, a power struggle, and Marty lost. He never coached in the NFL again. 200-plus career wins, 0 rings. A legacy not of failure, but of front office friction. Marty's 14-2 season should have been his crowning moment. Instead, it ended his career. Because in the NFL, winning doesn't win when egos collide. Before the dynasty, the Warriors were lost, raw, underachieving, and irrelevant. Then came Mark Jackson, a former player, a preacher, charismatic. He gave them identity, preached defense, discipline, belief. Told his young stars, they can't stop us, they can only hope to contain us. Jackson was the first to unleash Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. He empowered Steph's range, trusted Klay's shot, saw Draymond's edge. In 2014, they won 51 games, a breakout year. They were close, then fired, not for failure, for fit. Jackson clashed with assistants, iced out future head coach Luke Walton. He resisted analytics, alienated the front office, old school, private, operated like it was his team and only his. Ownership wanted collaboration, communication, a modern unified system. Jackson wasn't that, so they replaced him. With Steve Kerr, player-friendly, open-minded, analytics-driven. The next season, championship. The start of a dynasty. Jackson never got another shot. He laid the foundation for one of the greatest teams in NBA history. But in pro sports, vision and relationships matter more than just wins. Phil Jackson, 6 championships with the Bulls, the architect of the triangle, the Zen master who managed egos, elevated Jordan, and built one of the greatest dynasties in sports history. And in 1998, after winning 62 games and a 6th title, he was done. Not because he lost, not because the locker room turned, Because Jerry Krause, Bulls GM, made the call before the season even started. "I don't care if you go 82-0, this is your last year." That quote isn't myth, it's real. It's in The Last Dance. Krause wanted a new era, a coach he could control, a team he could reshape from the top down. Jackson didn't fit that vision. So, despite managing a combustible roster and winning at the highest level, Phil walked away. The dynasty was dismantled, MJ retired, Pippen traded, Rodman gone. All because one executive believed he deserved more credit and saw Phil's continued success as a threat, not a gift. Phil Jackson wasn't fired for failing. He was forced out because he represented power the front office couldn't touch. And in pro sports, that's the most dangerous power of all. These aren't just isolated anecdotes. This is a recurring pattern across professional sports. The list of coaches who found themselves unemployed shortly after significant success is surprisingly long and deeply unsettling for those in the profession. Mike Brown went 66-16 with LeBron's Cavaliers, reaching the NBA Finals. Fired 2 years later because the star player's influence grew too large and the team couldn't get over the hump. Monty Williams won NBA Coach of the Year with the Phoenix Suns, leading them to 64 wins and an NBA Finals appearance. A new owner arrived, and after a second-round playoff exit, Williams was gone. Despite being universally respected, the new regime wanted their guy. Lovie Smith took the Chicago Bears to a 10-6 record, just missing the playoffs in 2012. Fired after the season because the GM wanted a new offensive vision. Bo Pelini averaged 9+ wins a year at Nebraska, program starving for consistent success. Yet he was fired because he wasn't elite enough to win national championships, and his prickly personality eventually wore thin. Winning doesn't protect you when ownership wants a clean slate and their guy. The GM wants absolute control, and you don't cede it. The locker room wants a different vibe, and the players have power. The team reaches a certain level, but the front office believes it needs a different voice to get over the final hump. Sometimes you don't lose your job because you failed. You lose it because your success makes powerful people uncomfortable, or because their vision for the next step fundamentally conflicts with yours. Turns out the most dangerous record in sports might be a winning one. So, what's the real lesson for these bench bosses? Winning buys you time, alignment keeps you employed, and legacy, that depends on who writes the story and what the team does after you're gone. Click here to watch our breakdown of Phil Jackson's rise, fall, and final years, and how the NBA's greatest Zen master lost his grip on the game.